Ivy City has a long, you just mentioned the historic Crummell School, and
Yes.
this long-standing fight to reclaim the school for public use. You know, and in this event, in this discussion, I focus mostly on what white people can do to help out with these different situations. So, what can white people specifically do to help with this situation?
Use your platforms. Use your platforms. Engage with the communities of color. That's always a good thing. Don't assume that because you say Black Lives Matter, that you're with Black Lives Matter. Because a lot of times we have to, it starts with our children.
Yeah.
It really starts with our children. White folks need to educate their children about the families, our families. All of us are doing the same thing. All of us want the same thing. We want to live in peace. We want to have a community that's for us. That's for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, just having a community just in the white communities and they having all the resources.
Yeah.
And then you come to a middle class Black community and we don't even have a playground.
Right.
So if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
You know, just use your voices, use your platforms, speak up, and don't just speak up because it sound right or feel right.
Right.
Be sincere about it. That's the most important thing.
And to piggyback what you're saying, when you say use your platform, I would add to that by saying you don't have to be a public figure to have a platform. You don't have to be the president of a company or organization to have a platform. Being white, part of your platform is just having access to other white people, right? Most of the power to affect change is in the hands of white people. So even though you might not have the power to resolve the situation, you might have people in your circle who have some kind of access to this power. So, you know, we as white people have access to each other in a way that Black people typically don't, because we all kind of have our circles that have some degree of segregation in some way, shape, or form. So we as white people need to speak to each other about these problems, even if it might feel uncomfortable and weird. It's a necessary conversation, and it's just a small thing you can do toward anti-racism.
Of course it's going to feel uncomfortable because they, you know, in white families, they weren't taught, especially if they're not engaging with the Black community. They're not helping their neighbors. You know, in a lot of our communities, we have white neighbors that don't want to be bothered. They don't want to engage. They just in a blind eye and happen or pretend they don't see it. And that's not a good way to be.
Right.
You know, we're more willing than they are, but you know, and I see it. I go through it myself here in my own community, just with the businesses. They look at me as if I don't belong there. Well, how you going to come in my community with a business and then and look at
me like I don't belong? Exactly.